This video will quickly introduce the three most common words you will encounter in your philosophical journey: ontology, epistemology, and axiology. After a quick observation, we can see that these three words end with ology, which is a hint of their meaning. Ology denotes a particular field of study or branch of knowledge. We come across these words that we use every day, like sociology and biology. So ontology, epistemology, and axiology are three unique fields of study or branches of science. First, ontology. The word ontology comes from the Greek words on, meaning to exist, and logos, meaning knowledge. Ontology is the philosophical study of reality or being. It explores the nature of existence. So it's talking about how you see the world or how you see reality. What's that? And how are these things classified? While their original classification might seem strange, thinking about some people might believe that everything that exists is essentially one. That all realities are connected and that other people who perceive reality contain many different categories of natural objects. Ontology, or the science of existence, has been studied by philosophers throughout history and applied in various disciplines. Ontology can be seen as fundamental as one's understanding of what reality is. How best to classify what is real will significantly impact how it can be best understood and how one operates within one's discipline and, of course, how one understands and conducts research. Let's see this examples. House. In this day and age, various types of houses have been built. Today's houses are multi-story, multi-level houses, and even form apartments. In ancient times, humans only knew a kind of house. But, the fact is that even though there are now many types of house arrangements, we still call them houses based on valid and existing insights. Reality is the idea or image that makes us always recognize the house. In many forms or models of houses, the concept of this house makes us still remember that what we see is a house even though it has changed a lot in terms of its shape. Another simple example that we can give with biology. Biology is the science of plant life, animals, nature, even man. In other words, biology is a science about living things such as growth and others, both those on land, sea, and air. Second, epistemology. Epistemology is rooted in two Greek words, namely episteme, which means knowledge. Epistemology is a study of knowledge. What we know and how can we know it? Epistemology focuses on the nature of knowledge and its scope. Different perspectives on epistemology argues that knowledge is gained in various ways, has a different level of reliability, and can or should be utilized differently. Epistemology is considered its storied branch of philosophy, and most Western philosophers have contributed to it. Epistemology focuses on questions such as, what can we as human beings know? How do we gain such knowledge, and what does it even mean to know something? As a study of knowledge which is often the desired end of researcher, epistemology is essential to understand and clarify as a researcher. The process of searching for the epistemology or theory of knowledge that we are observing and exploring is usually based on skepticism considerations, because it is with that attitude of doubt that people find out about the various things surrounding it. So this is where it was born, a variety of new knowledge unearthed about something. In ontology, we know that we can see the house even though it looks different. In epistemology, we will find out how we analyze that the building is a house. We will see it through the five senses. Then, the results of the vision will be sent by nerves to the brain. In the brain, the image will be further analyzed about everything seen to be seen, whether it is a house or not. A simple example that eventually led to the birth of medical science is that experts first questioned the biological sciences dealing with the cure of a disease, living things. As the parent of science, biology eventually produces a branch of science, new knowledge such as medical science, after experiencing skepticism about living things stricken with a disease that must be found a way to cure it. So, in other words, If the ontology stage has been revealed, then the next stage is the stage of seeking knowledge or theory of knowledge that is being observed, so that later there will be a division and difference between one knowledge and another, as will also be revealed the difference between knowledge of one another after entering this epistemological stage. Third. Axiology. Axiology is rooted in two Greek words, namely oxios meaning value and logos means science. So axiology is a theory of value related to the usefulness of acquired knowledge, such as moral values, expressions of beauty, and values contained in a variable. For example, for the house. With the science of axiology we can know which house we will live in, a comfortable house and a house according to what we want. With that we can easily make a decision. From the various human achievements that have been obtained from science and technology, it has provided many benefits and usability for human life so far. However, as long as the findings produced are useful, it doesn't matter, but the next question is if the technological findings are in the form of weapons and the like. At first the manufacture of weapons, including the manufacture of bombs, was intended to facilitate human work from various obstacles that come from nature or the environment. But in its development, it turns out that these human findings no longer provide benefits and are useful, but instead bring suffering and destruction to the survival of other humans. Therefore, in axiology or value theory related to the usefulness of knowledge gained by humans, by itself it can be categorized as beneficial and useful or vice versa. Relationship of ontology, epistemology, and axiology. The three sciences have a relationship from beginning to end. Can be concluded that 1. Ontology studies and discusses the existence of an object according to the facts. 2. Epistemology studies and discusses the process of knowing the existence of an object according to the facts. 3. Axiology studies and discusses the values and benefits of an object that has been analyzed. For the conclusion. According to many references, the three aspects mentioned above are fields of philosophical study, such as logic, metaphysics, cosmology, methodology, ethics, aesthetics, philosophy of religion, sociology, psychology, and biology. Basic every time we'll discuss something or knowledge that will be born. So that these three aspects in the study of the philosophy of science are very important to be fully understood. In other words, the main and fundamental aspects of the study in the discussion of the philosophy of science are the three things mentioned above: ontology, epistemology, and axiology. Because without these three things it is impossible for us to fully understand the philosophy of science itself.